Hi guys. So we're going to continue our conversations today, having to do with K and talking about unit rates and everything. So what I want to do is start with a quick warm up here for you. This is a graph. A couple things that you can notice: it is a straight line, and you can also tell that it goes through the origin. So we'll just put that as 0, 0. And what that tells me is that this relationship then is proportional, which means that it's going to have a K value, and it's my job to figure out what that K value would be. So what I can do is I can kind of look at this line here, and I'm going to notice that it actually seems to go through all these different crosshairs on the graph right here, which is kind of nice. Now, if you remember yesterday, there is a little trick here that if we go where X is 1, and that point actually is on our graph, we could go to the Y, and that'll actually tell us what the K value is. Now, we do have to realize something about the labeling over here. We have 0, a spot, and then 250, a spot, 500. So we have to take 250 and split it in half, which is going to give us 125. So that tells me here that my K value is 125. If you don't believe that, you could always check here. This spot is the point 2, 250. So to get K, you can do Y divided by X. Your Y value is 250 divided by X is 2, which is also going to give you 125. Go ahead, pause the video. Well, it's going to pause for you, sorry, and answer the question that comes up about the equation. All right, so if you find that your K value is 125, that would mean that the correct equation here is going to be Y equals 125X. Okay, we can also go ahead and write the unit rate. So it's going to be 125, and then look at your labels. Meals packed, hours. So 125 meals per hour would be the best label here. Okay. If you're in your notes packet, we're on page 13. Otherwise, grab your notebook and your pencil. Pause the video if you need to grab those things. We're going to go through some steps here. We're going to talk about writing equations today using unit rate. So we're going to see other equations other than Y and X today. But you're first going to find the unit rate. And remember, the unit rate is actually K, so it's Y divided by X. We've got to talk about independent and dependent variables here today as well. So take a look at number 1. Olivia bought 6 containers of yogurt for $7.68. If I am just going to find the unit rate here, I have money. So the money is going to go first, $7.68 over 6 containers. And if I type that into my calculator, I find out that it's $1.28 per container. Now, unit rate, this is really K because K is a unit rate. So what I can do is my equation is Y equals 1.28X. Okay. Now there's kind of an issue here because it says write an equation relating the cost C to the number of yogurts Y. Okay. Cost C, number of yogurts Y. Now if I look at this, this is Y divided by X. But Y is referring to the money. So here, instead of using the letter Y, when I'm talking about the cost to the money, it wants me to use the letter C. So I'm going to, in my equation, replace the Y with a C, because that's the cost, 1.28, and X represents the number of containers or the number of yogurts, which they want me to use as Y instead. So this is C, this is Y. So all we have to do is once we find the unit rate, write our original equation with Y and X in it, and then go back and replace it with the letters that are in the problem. The independent variable, the one that I can control, is how many yogurts I'm actually buying. So that one is going to be our X value because the money depends on the number of yogurts. So we're not going to worry so much about identifying this independent variable, but hopefully that does kind of make a little sense to you. Now, you have your equation, cost is equal to 1.28 times the number of yogurts that you buy. So if you were going to buy 10 yogurts at this rate, your cost is going to be equal to $1.28 times 10, or your cost would end up being $12.80. And yes, you should put a dollar sign with it. Yes, you need to write it like it is money. Okay, So that right there is example number 1 from today's notes. Example number 2, JC bought 8 gallons of gas for $31.12. Money comes first, so $31.12 got him 8 gallons. Go ahead and divide. So 31.12 divided by 8, we get $3.89 per gallon. So remember, this was y divided by x. So we're going to write our initial equation, y equals 3.89x, and then we're going to go in and change it. Y talks about the money, so look at the equation. Write an equation relating the cost C. Cost, is that going to be money or gallons? Well, it's going to be money. So this is now going to become a C to the number of gallons G of gas. G is going to be down here. So instead of a Y, I'm now going to replace that with a C. So instead of Y equals 3.89x, I'm going to put C equals 3.89. And instead of X, I'm now using the letter G for the number of gallons. So the question says, how much would JC pay for 11 gallons at the same rate? So we're going to do cost equals 3.89G. We're going to buy 11 gallons, so we're going to go ahead and plug that in here. Go ahead, calculate, and then answer the question. So when you multiply these two, you do get $42.79 for JC's gas for the 11 gallons. Last example here we're going to do is Riley typed 6 paragraphs in 4 minutes. So we're going to be doing paragraphs per minute. So we're going to have 6 paragraphs in 4 minutes, and that's going to give me 1.5 paragraphs per minute. That's my K value, so I'm going to write y equals 1.5x. Now, we're going to go ahead and change this over. So we want the number of paragraphs P, so that's going to be here, typed to the number of minutes M, so that's going to be here on the bottom. Remember, this was y over x. So y is now changing to a P, x is changing to an M. Which equation is going to match this? So instead of the y, we put P equals 1.5 times M. Now, this next question says, how long would it take her to type 10 paragraphs at this rate? 10 paragraphs is actually going to put a 10 in place of the P. So I'm going to write my equation, 1.5M, and instead of the P, I'm going to put 10 equals 1.5M. How do I solve this equation? We're going to divide by 1.5 on both sides, and that will give me 6.6 repeating equals M. So I could say it's going to be 6.6 repeating minutes, or 0.6 repeating really means 6 2/3 minutes. So sometimes it's a little bit nicer to write it out that way, or since there's 60 seconds in a minute, 2/3 of a minute is 6 minutes and 40 seconds.